As part of our special series on businesses getting ready for Brexit in association with the local enterprise office Waterford, we've come here today to Walsh's Bakehouse on the Lacken Road Business Park in Waterford to talk to Dermot Walsh about supply chain management and what he's doing to prepare his business for Brexit. So Dermot Walsh from Walsh's Bakehouse. Walsh's Bakehouse, of course, has a long and proud tradition in Waterford. Tell us a little bit to start with just about your business.
Okay, so 1921, my grandfather came back from First World War. He set up his first bakery in the Mayor's Walk. In 1927, he moved to Ballybricken, and from 1927 up to, I think it was 2007, that premises was operated by my father and his brother Artie. Myself and my brother Michael then opened a bakery in Mount Sion Avenue and in 1985, and from 1985 until 2019, until February this year, we were baking there. But we carry on the tradition, myself and my brother, and we rebranded our business 3 years ago back to our original name, Walsh's Bakehouse, and we now trade all over Ireland, the UK and Europe under that name.
Yep. So really you've been in business a long time, you've weathered a lot of storms. Obviously Brexit now looming large on the horizon. How do you think it's going to affect your business?
Well, the initial thought on Brexit for all of us, and it's been a long-winded thing, as we know, but as early 2018, we had the president of the Federation of Irish and English Flour Millers over with us to point out and see what was going to happen as regards tariffs and taxes. Now, flour is a complicated business because the actual grain that we use is not Irish. Some of it is English, some of it's American, some of it's Canadian, and some of it is Russian. So unfortunately, Ireland, we've not been milling commercially for the last 8 years. So all commercial bread flour that's used in Southern Ireland is sourced in either Northern Ireland or in the UK. When Odlum's closed their mill and commercial flour stopped being milled here, we looked to Northern Ireland to get our flour. Now, the mills in Northern Ireland are not capable of supplying the entire island of Ireland, so most of their flour comes over from the UK they would be owned by the bigger mills in the UK.
So supply chain management then is really important for you, and I mean, it sounds like it could be a real headache.
Yeah, for us, being a slightly smaller business, we've been able to circumvent that by buying in Belgium. Earlier this year, because of what was happening, we took the steps with one of our agents, one of our suppliers, to see could we source flour outside the UK to ensure that everything was okay with us. And actually only 4 weeks ago we took in our first take load, our first 21 tonne of flour from a mill in Belgium.
So that's been a really long process for you then, and I suppose it just goes to show the importance of trying to plan in advance.
Yes, it has, because continental flour differs from Ireland and England, Irish flour and English flour. Ireland and England are linked together with our styles of bread, therefore the type of flour and the protein levels we would use would be very similar. However, if you move over to France and Belgium, Italy and Holland, they use much different type of flour than we do. They produce different types of bread. So sliced bread, commercial bread as we know it here in Ireland, would not be available in the shops over there as we have it here. So the challenge for us was to get this mill to mill the type of wheat that we wanted, and that went through a process of testing. And when we were happy with it, then we took in our first batch, because we have to ensure supply. If we don't have flour, and the other main issue for the Irish bakery industry is the fact that there is no yeast manufactured. Baker's yeast is not made in Ireland. The nearest one is in the UK. And again, we took the steps of ensuring that we have a supply from outside the UK. So the main sources of yeast in Ireland would be the UK, France and Belgium.
Okay. And is all of this having a cost implication? I suppose there's two elements to that. I mean, you say you now are looking to Belgium and Europe for your flour, which of course you have to be careful. You've got a certain quality product, it tastes a certain way, consumers expect it to taste the same, so you've got to make sure that there isn't a variation in that.
Absolutely.
But then also, is there a cost implication for you?
Well, funnily enough, there's not, and that's
one good thing.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
So that's okay for us speaking now, and we've only just taken in what would be a relatively small load compared to some of the other larger bakeries. However, if everybody decides to move their supply, to get their supply from Belgium and France from the same mill, then we could possibly see the price going up. So as of this moment in time, no, we're quite happy with everything. And I said we've done our first major run of product with their flour, and everything is perfect, spot on.
Good stuff. Well, listen, finally then, for anyone listening to this who does have concerns about their supply chain, because it's not just if you're directly, of course, importing from the UK, but if there's a component of something which is manufactured, or even indeed if the UK is used as a transit route, what would your advice be to anybody, smaller businesses perhaps?
Well, anybody who's in business that's supplying clients here in Waterford or in Ireland, they should have at this stage received paperwork from their customers, from their clients, asking them what they are doing about Brexit. I mean, the last 6 months has just been an onslaught of paperwork, and are you Brexit ready, and what have you done for this and what have you done for that? And we've been brought down to some of the larger companies to actually tell them face to face what we've done in order to ensure that their supply will be okay. So any company that hasn't done anything about it, the first thing they have to do is just to ring their main suppliers and ask them, is there what they've done or what are they going to do to ensure that they supply them, and if they can't give them any guarantees, to try and source on the mainland Europe. I mean, there's very little else. I mean, there's a good land bridge, there's good transport systems, but it starts with your own suppliers and who you're buying your raw materials from.
There are solutions out there and there are supports available. So
yes, really, Enterprise Ireland, the local enterprise offices, they're all offering support for Brexit studies and Brexit preparedness. So don't be afraid to ring and ask.
That's fantastic. Dermot Walsh from Walsh's Bakehouse. Thanks so much.